The second stage is the actual production stage, or the design and creative process. In this tutorial, it is a list of design principles and elements a teacher needs to consider in the process of creating instructional material or a visual aid to help them in teaching. We will first discuss the principles of design, since these principles provide the framework of the production process. First on the list is the principle of function. In design, function refers to the purpose or use of a project or a design element. The principle of function in design emphasizes that every design element should serve a specific purpose or function. Consider the following: the topic, your audience, their age, level of education, and interests. Choose design materials that are appropriate and engaging for them. Put yourself in your learner's shoes. Is the tone of my learning material or presentation appropriate? What does my audience want to see? Or what does my audience not want to see? Also consider what is the final output for the design. Would it be printed? Some elements change or worse, lose their meaning if they are used or presented incorrectly. Take the Red Cross, for example. The original logo is meant to be printed with color. If you photocopied that same material to give to your students, it can give an entirely different vibe. Perhaps a visual aid explaining to children the difference between ripe and unripe mango, but is also in black and white due to the material being photocopied. Is the material meant to be shown on a screen? Red and green work well together as a motif and are complementary colors, but are terrible as background and font colors because of readability. How would data be presented, via chart? Or is it better presented via graph? Perhaps a Venn diagram? When do you replace a word with a picture? Or when do you animate instead? By applying the principle of function in design, a teacher can create instructional materials that are well suited for the theme or topic, effective, engaging, and aligned with their learning objectives. Next would be the principle of simplicity. Simplicity is a principle of design that emphasizes using minimal number of design elements to create a clear and uncluttered composition. It involves removing any unnecessary elements and focusing on the essential elements of the design. It advocates the use of fewer resources and materials to achieve the same or even a better result. There is actually a philosophy stating that less is more. It suggests that simplicity and minimalism are more effective than excess and extravagance. For example, in graphic design, it may involve using negative space instead of shapes or lines as spacers or borders, a limited color palette to create a simple yet impactful theme, and a limited number of essential fonts. I'm certain there was a time in your life you have seen a PowerPoint presentation with an outrageous number of unnecessary transitions, effects, etc. We get it. You want to grab our attention, and you did, not in a good way. Simplifying instructional materials also saves time and resources. This design tutorial prioritizes simplicity after function and places it above the rest of the remaining principles for the reason you are not required to use all of the elements and principles of design, just the ones that are essential to the topic. If you can deliver the same message and achieve the learning objectives without the unnecessary noise and clutter, all the better. Next is the principle of hierarchy. Hierarchy is a principle of design that refers to the arrangement of elements in a visual composition to create a sense of order, importance, and emphasis. In a design with hierarchy, certain elements are given more visual weight and prominence than others, guiding the viewer's eye through the composition. Larger elements tend to appear more important than smaller elements, while brighter or more saturated colors tend to draw more attention than muted colors. Similarly, elements that are placed at the top of a composition or in the center tend to be perceived as more important than those that are placed at the bottom. By using headings, subheadings, and other visual cues, teachers can break down the material into manageable chunks and help students navigate it more easily. Understanding the principle of hierarchy can help teachers create instructional materials that are more effective, engaging, and memorable for their students. By using visual cues to guide students' attention and organize information, teachers can create materials that are easier to understand and more enjoyable to use. Next would be the principle of alignment. Alignment is a principle of design that refers to the arrangement of elements in a design in a way that creates a sense of visual balance and order. Alignment can be achieved in different ways, such as through the use of a grid system, where elements are positioned along a set of horizontal and vertical lines, or through the use of other visual cues such as edges, margins, and spacing. When elements are properly aligned, they can create a sense of flow, guiding the viewer's eye through the design in a natural and intuitive way. Proper alignment helps instructional materials look more polished and professional. By aligning elements in a consistent way, teachers can create a unified and cohesive design that helps students focus on the content rather than being distracted by a messy or disorganized layout. By aligning elements carefully and consistently, teachers can create instructional materials that support their teaching goals and help their students learn more effectively. Next would be the principle of repetition. Repetition is a principle of design that involves the repeated use of visual elements throughout a composition. This can include repeating shapes, colors, patterns, lines, fonts, or other design elements. Repetition creates a sense of visual unity and consistency throughout a composition. Consistency is key when it comes to instructional materials. It can also be used to emphasize key concepts or ideas that are important for students to understand. By creating a consistent visual style, you can relax and your students can just focus on the content of the material. Next would be the principle of contrast. Contrast is a principle of design that refers to the arrangement of elements with opposing qualities, such as light and dark, large and small, etc. By placing contrasting elements together, designers can emphasize certain elements, create visual interest, and a dynamic composition. Contrast can be achieved in various ways, such as differences in color, texture, shape, size, or value. The use of contrast helps to guide the viewer's eye through a design and emphasize important elements. You can use a larger font, a larger shape, or a different color to make important information stand out. Overall, contrast is an important principle of design that can add visual interest and impact to any project. Next would be the principle of proximity. Proximity is a principle of design that refers to the use of space to show relationships between elements in a composition. By grouping or separating design elements, designers can help the viewer understand the relationship between different parts of the design. Proximity can be achieved in a number of ways, by using color, size, or shape to group related elements together. For example, if you were to look and memorize the periodic table of elements as a whole, it might seem complicated and difficult at first. However, if you group the elements based on their properties, it makes the process a lot easier. By using proximity, teachers can create instructional materials that are organized, visually appealing, and effective in communicating key concepts and ideas to students. Last but definitely not the least is the principle of balance. Balance is a principle of design that refers to the distribution of visual weight in a composition. In a well-balanced design, elements are arranged in a way that creates a sense of equilibrium and harmony, with no one element overpowering the others. Balance can be achieved in various ways, such as through the use of symmetry and asymmetry. Balance helps create a sense of visual stability and order. A design that uses symmetry will have elements arranged in a mirror image pattern on either side of a central axis. Organizing information in a symmetrical way ensures that each section receives equal attention and is presented in a clear and organized manner. On the other hand, a design that uses asymmetry will have elements arranged in a way that is not perfectly balanced, but still feels harmonious and visually appealing. A poorly balanced design can be visually jarring and can distract students from the content. A well-balanced design, on the other hand, can help students stay focused and engaged. On top of that, balance creates a sense of order. A balanced layout can help students focus on the material and navigate it more effectively.